Hello, I would love to invite you to go on a journey with me. It's an exciting journey. It's a journey that it involves you and your house. How do we get the maximum amount of money for your house and sell it in a reasonably shorter amount of time? Why in a shorter amount of time? Because these things go hand in hand. You know how it is. When a house sits on the market for a longer period of time, buyers do not see as much value in it. They think, okay, what's wrong with this house? Why is it not selling? And then next thing you know is that the house sits or the sellers start reducing the price. Let's avoid that altogether. And yes, I know everybody these days want the video to be less than 30 seconds. It's a thing these days. However, this is the biggest investment for most of us. This is the biggest transaction for most of us. So let's review this to see how you can maximize the return on your investment. And is this possible? You bet it is. So let's look at this. How do people choose a representative? Somebody who does a much better job than we would ourselves, right? So how do we choose what makes a good realtor? So thanks to real estate school gives license to realtors, but are all realtors the same? Is the real estate school enough? It is not. The number of hours for the real estate school are limited, and there's a lot that the realtor needs to learn on their own, and it takes months or sometimes years. After 21 years, I'm still learning, trust me. Why? Because no two homes are the same, buyers are different, sellers are different, ethnicities are different, and one needs to understand all that. So how do people choose realtors? You would be shocked to know that some people keep themselves very limited to keep and look at who among friends or neighbors is a realtor, and they choose, if they are emotionally attached, they choose one. Is that the right way to do it? I'm not sure about that. It's just being attached, being connected a little bit emotionally is not going to do the job. This is a big business. Yes, it's an emotional decision, but more importantly, it has to be a big business decision. What's the other way to do it? We open our horizons. We want to know who has the qualities, the natural attributes, and the trainings for it. What does that mean? A realtor needs to understand architecture, structure, upgrades, what kind of upgrades, the flow of the house, the room sizes, the pricing, and the list goes on and on and on. And I'm going to give you some of those pointers here. So let's say you want to put your house on the market in a certain area, let's say Johns Creek. Those days that somebody had to only sell in your subdivision, those days are over. Why? Because how many people move from the same subdivision to the same subdivision? Some people move from the same city to the same city, but many move from other places. Like usually people do not move for 2 miles. Usually people move, it's a job transfer, it's being closer to family members or another school or whatever that is, right? So now a realtor needs to understand different areas of town. What sells in Johns Creek? And if a person comes from Buckhead, what do they have in mind? How do we make this transition smoother so we sell the house faster? What paint sells in, let's say, for example, Suwannee? What kind of upgrades are better for Cumming? A realtor needs to understand all this by selling in different areas, not just limited to one single area. That is probably an old thing. It's basically almost obsolete. The next thing is pricing a house. How do we price the house? Well, there are 3 ways to price the house. One is going online, looking at Zillow and FMLS. Well, that's not enough. That's not enough at all. Why? Because those are limited. They don't understand the upgrades that you have in the house. If you have any natural lighting, if your room sizes are bigger than the house next door that's sold, if the flow of the house could be very different, your house could be a whole lot better. Or vice versa. So pricing a house is a manual thing and infused with technology, meaning if I want to price a house, I want to know what has sold in your subdivision within the past so long and then make adjustments and come up with the right price. Do I want to overprice it? No. Do I want to underprice it? No. I want to price it right and have the comps to back it up. Why? For negotiations and for appraisal time. Trust me, this has you get the most money and get your house to closing 100% of the time, if done right. The next thing is, how do we get the house shown, and how do we get the house shown to? So in the industry today, this is how it works. The buyer's agent goes on FMLS and they see a house, or the buyers have sent them the house, and then they click on a button and the seller usually gets a notification. Sometimes the listing agent gets it, sometimes the seller gets it. All they do almost all the time is to click a button and say, yes, you can show my house at 3:15 today. But as cool as that sounds, don't you think something major is missing? Communication. What does that mean? Do you remember when you were looking at homes? You see the first house? Fine. You see the second house? Okay. The third house? You don't even remember the first house. The listing agent's job is, one of their jobs is, when they get the notification, pick up the phone the old-fashioned way. It does make a difference. And call the buyer's agent and say, thanks for wanting to show the house. We appreciate you. Let me ask you, are the buyers pre-approved? Like, do you have a written pre-approval letter? Yes, great. What is the buyer's limit? What is their budget? What are they looking for? What is their time limit? All this information, the different types of information that a listing agent gathers, help choosing the right buyers, and also this helps during the negotiations. Let's say the buyers come and leave. Normally, there is not much communication going on again between the listing agents in the industry and the buyer's agent. And the buyer's agent, if they want to make an offer, sometimes they send the offer and there is still no communication, and the listing agent looks at the email, oh, we have an offer, contacts the seller, and then they decide to accept it, reject it, or counter it. And you always want to either accept or counter. You never want to reject. Now, what do we do to make this more efficient? Once the buyer's agent shows the house, the listing agent is supposed to call this is what I do. I call the buyer's agent and ask if they are interested in the house. Why do I do that? For two main reasons. If there is a small objection and it is something we can remove, why not get it done? Let me give you an example. I had a house on the market, and then the buyer showed the agent showed the house, the buyer saw it, and they left. I called the buyer's agent and I said, the buyer's interested? Yes, but they don't like the color of such and such room. Let me ask you a question, Mr. or Mrs. Agent. If my sellers paint that room, I'm going to ask them, are your buyers interested in making a full price offer? Let me ask. Yes, they are. And I called my sellers and said, look, this is the thing. Would you be willing to paint that room whatever color they want? Beige, whatever. Yes. Home went under contract. We got it closed over a can of paint. The next thing is, when you call the buyer's agent to see where they are with an offer, this is a time to understand what their offer is. If they're going to make a lowball offer, this is the time to negotiate before it's on the contract. It's on paper. This is where you close the gap. Sometimes bring it up to the asking price. Sometimes they have two other offers. You bring it over the asking price. So then the next thing is, once the house goes under contract, how do we go through the inspection so it goes smoother for all parties? There are ways to handle that. And then once they receive the offer, I always call a lender. And I'm sometimes amazed that the lender says, I've been doing this for 29 years, almost nobody calls to check on the buyer's pre-approval. My question is this, have you already, this pre-approval that you have, is it verbal? Or have you seen the documents? No, we have seen the documents. Anything I need to be concerned about? No. Have they had the job for the past 2 years or longer? Yes. Okay, all good. But I also keep in touch with this lender periodically to make sure everything goes smoothly so we have a closing on time. You know how it is. You have your moving arranged, you have your next house arranged, you do not want to be delayed. And another thing is, how do we deal with the appraisal so we make sure the appraisal comes back well? The comps need to be ready. Once I get a call from the appraisal that they want to get the house appraised, I want to ask a few questions and say, look, I've made your job easier. After comps, I'll send them to you. Sometimes it has happened that the appraiser used my comps, which was fantastic. Now, the next thing is being in contact with the closing attorney the whole time to make sure the title search has been done, everything is good to go until the day of closing. And having my clients, let's say in this case, if you are a seller or a buyer, making sure you avoid cyber fraud, wire fraud. And there's a very easy way to avoid that. So basically getting the house on the market, priced right, presented it well, sell it well, and close it takes a number of contacts and techniques and all that. And that's why I only like to do it myself. I don't get the listing and give them my sellers, or if you're a buyer, if I'm working with a buyer, I'm not giving it to somebody else on the team. I want to be in touch with all this. I have seen the house. I have the power to negotiate. I know how my sellers think. So basically, I want it to be myself. So anyway, my name is Kami Pyvand. I have been with Cobb and I have been in the business for 21 years. And I've gone through a number of trainings to be able to help my sellers or buyers better. And if you have any comments or questions, contact me. If you want to get ready to buy or sell a house, I'll be happy to sit with you. We come up with something customized. If you like this video, please do share, like, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.